Hello, everybody. Welcome to Testimony Tuesdays. I am BJ Garrett, Executive Director for Christ-Centered Abortion Recovery and Education, and I am here today with a sweet friend of mine, Abby. Abby, welcome to Testimony Tuesday. Introduce yourself, my friend.
I am Abygayl Alvarez. I'm 45. Been married 28 years, and I have 3 grown children and 1 grandson.
Awesome. Well, we are not going to waste any time. Okay, y'all, I'm just saying right now, we had a little bit of a conversation before I hit record, and there was so much good stuff already shared from this beautiful woman. So I just kind of want to go there and let's just talk about and tell us your story.
So I remember, like it was yesterday, Isaiah and I had been married, a couple years, and I got pregnant. And of course he didn't want any more kids. We already had 2. So he said, you're going to have to get an abortion. And he took me. And I will say this, it was an excruciating pain that I felt. And I knew then that I had done the wrong thing, but it was too late, couldn't turn back. So, like they say, why cry over spilled milk? I remember leaving the abortion clinic in Dallas and just crying and thinking, gosh, I'm all by myself. And then the fear set in, what if my mother finds out? What if other family finds out? And that fear ended up turning into anger. I got really angry at Isaiah. And then I guess 2 months later, BJ, I got pregnant again. And this time I said, I'm not going to have an abortion. I stood up to him, which wasn't often at that point, but our behavior over the following, I guess, 12, 15 years, it was a reflection of the pain that both of us was going through. I didn't know that what he was doing was a trigger off of me having had the abortion, and then me being angry. And when Zachary was born, I remember just being completely protective of him because I was supposed to have another abortion. And he was my kid. Not that I didn't take care of the other 2, but like we had mentioned, I had gone from one extreme to another of parenting, where I became so obsessive compulsive because the guilt of what I had done. And then the anger, our marriage, everything that was supposed to have torn us apart, including this abortion, were triggers of, conflict. And, you don't, when you don't know, you don't know. And then you bump into somebody as beautiful and courageous as Dr. English. And, you hear, come on, I remember going up to her after she gave her testimony. And I remember thinking, this is God's doing. This is his doing. But then I fought him and I fought her because she kept saying, come on, Abygayl, let's go to this, the CARES recovery retreat. And I kept thinking, I'm not going there, there's no way, and several years later, I finally gave in. And I'll tell you, BJ, I was scared out of my mind. I will say this before I give you my experience of why I was scared. I remember sitting with my husband and my 3 kids, and I remember they knew. I had always been very open with them about what I had endured and what Isaiah and I had gone through. And I'll never forget my youngest son, my middle son, Isaiah. He said, Mom, whatever you need to get off your chest, whatever it is that you need to do to heal, leave it there. He goes, when you come back on Sunday, come back a new person,
Wow.
please. Because they had seen, they had seen, what depression had done to me. They had seen what attempted suicides had done to me. And ironically, yes, I had been very vocal with them about depression and mental health. But what I didn't tell them was that it doesn't just afflict moms. It's something that runs in the family. So when they were feeling uneasy, they thought, well, I thought only mommies get this way. So anyway, fast forward, and I remember finally having the courage to go to this retreat. And I thought, oh my gosh, I thought I'm going to show up. These women are going to tie me up to a tree trunk. We're going to be singing Kumbaya. And I'm not going to have my mascara to put on because God forbid I don't have mascara and the mosquitoes end up getting me. And it was, oh my gosh, it was the complete opposite of what I had mentally told myself. But again, it was Satan. He was working overtime because he didn't want for me to cross paths with the women that I met. But not only that, he didn't want me to heal. He didn't
Right.
want Isaiah to heal. And that was something that I don't know how many women actually discuss with their husbands, because I thought I was the only one suffering. I thought I was the only one that was going through this grief, this pain, this complete hatred for myself because of what I had done. And how could I possibly look myself in the mirror when I took a child's life?
Yeah.
And so again, the first day, it was, I mean, I remember we all introduced ourselves, and I was thinking, okay, nobody's come in the room yet. Nobody's taking us hostage. So we're good. The conversation immediately got so intense. But it was at that moment that we were all beginning to heal, and we could feel it and we could touch it. And you could even taste it because all bets were off.
Yeah.
And you were, I mean, you were so vulnerable at that point. You might as well have been having a pap smear, because we were discussing
Oh
things,
my
and
goodness.
we were raw.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful feeling, because everything you thought you had felt, and you thought, okay, I'm the only one that could possibly feel this, you were hearing it. And you
A
were,
room full of women feeling the
yes,
same way. Yeah.
yes. And it was like somebody pinched me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, not to mention the fact that I was looking like Gene Simmons from Kiss with all the crying I had been doing. But it was, it felt good to know that I wasn't alone, and I hadn't been alone,
Yeah.
because other women were hurting
Yeah.
just like me. It may not have been the same, they say, don't judge until you've walked a mile in my shoes.
Mhm.
Well, we'd all walked a mile in each other's shoes, even though it was a different brand and even though it was a different size. We had an inkling of what we were going through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love your story so much, and I love that you share all of that, because even after we're healed, there's still this vulnerability, because we don't admit how scared we were just to make that initial phone call. And even like, you don't even know how many women that Grace and I are like, she called yet? No. And then a month later, she called yet? No. And
Yep.
it's just this constant, because it is so hard to make that call, especially when we have been so deceptive in our own heart that we're okay. We are handling it. It's in our past. Let the past be the past. It was our body, our choice. I have no right to grieve or be upset about this. I'm fine. Leave me alone. Till we finally get there. and we realize, wow, I was not okay.
Exactly.
I had hidden it and buried it, but it's always been there. The guilt and the shame and the anger and the depression and all of the things have been there. And I think I've hidden it well, but everyone around you says I haven't, you know?
Right. That's right. And and it's funny because BJ, even God started working even before I met with Dr. English, because I met you first. And I thought, I look back now and I think, gosh, God knew what he was doing. He was placing the people that needed to be put in my path at the right time, at the right moment, and everything was working out. And then here we were, there at the retreat. And I remember the first night I called Isaiah, and BJ, we cried and we cried and we cried. And I remember thinking, all this time, I had only been focused on myself. I had never asked him how he felt. I had never asked him, did you ever think about that child? Did you ever, you know, and to find for him to, for a Hispanic male to allow himself to be vulnerable, that was big.
Yeah.
And so when I told him, I said, you know what? I want you to name our son. I want you to name him. And he said, okay. He said, I'll do it. And I'm not going to lie, after he told me what he wanted to name him, I was thinking, really? Gosh. No wonder I named
I remember this story coming out of that weekend Bible study, and I wasn't at your specific study. I get to go to a bunch, but obviously I can't do all of them. But I remember the leaders when they kind of do their feedback and they were kind of sharing. Of course, I didn't know it was your story at the time, because even within our leaders, we keep everything very confidential.
Right.
But they were sharing the story about one of the women who had called her husband about naming the baby, and just how it was just a very powerful experience, and how you guys and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how you guys just healed from
No, we did, BJ. We really did. And again, just parenting, from the way that I parented, because I went from one extreme to another of just being so attached, but not in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I was real attached to the kids, and they were with me as well. And it was just one of those things where you don't realize how an abortion really changes the way that you carry on daily.
Yeah.
And even in your marriage, and even, I remember some of the women there could not believe that Isaiah and I were still married, because statistics show that it's high, and it does tear a marriage apart, because again, there's guilt there's trauma. And I think a lot of times we don't take into account the other person's feelings. And I mean, I know I didn't.
Yeah. Well, and I would say also, and not to just pick on any specific race or nationality, but we know statistically that Blacks and Hispanics are the most targeted for abortion. In my experience, most of the Hispanic community, they are very quiet about it. They say this does not happen in our community. Hispanics do not have abortions. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. Hispanics do have abortions. And even kind of going against that, statistically speaking, and we say this all the time, is most married couples don't have abortions. It's mostly single women, unhealthy relationships that choose abortion. Very seldom do married couples choose abortion. And even if they do, very few survive abortion.
Right.
So the fact that you are a Hispanic family, you were married at the time of your abortion, and you're still married today, obviously many years later, I mean, you really defied all the odds in that, because really that does not happen. Any of those things just do not happen.
No,
So
they don't. And, again, only God knows why, Isaiah and I are still as committed. I think for one, we're both as stubborn as they get. And, we, our marriage has gone through a lot. It has endured a lot. But again, um, it's one of those things where, and I'm not criticizing or judging anyone for having chosen divorce, but we've had to work really hard, and we continue to have to work really hard to move past that pain
yeah,
and that hurt, because it doesn't matter if it's been 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. There's still some amount of hurt and pain there. and
yeah,
and I mean, that you've met women that, doesn't matter if it's been 50 years,
that's right.
we still think about that child. We
That's right.
still, think about what we should have or could have. But again, you can't move back. So you have to just keep moving forward, trying to be as advantageous as you can, and hope that your story or your experience through that traumatic uh, time in your life, it's going to help somebody. and
Yeah.
and like you said, for a woman to say, I'm over it, it's the past, sweetheart, you can deny it all you want. But if you're living a life where your actions are the contrary, that abortion needs to be dealt with.
That's
It
right.
has to be dealt with if you
Yeah.
want to continue to, if you want to heal. Now, if you want to continue down that detrimental road or path that you're on, by all means, you're you. You do you,
Well,
sweetheart.
but you know what? That's the thing. I'm glad you pointed that out. Unfortunately, so many women and men, for that matter, they really get in this mindset that they deserve to be in this kind of pain because of the abortion. And you really can get stuck in that you don't want healing. You don't want to let it go. You don't want to move past it, because all of a sudden then you are a bad person for wanting that.
Mm.
Those are just this cycle of lies that the enemy has. The truth is that scripture tells us that he set us free,
Yeah.
that Jesus came to the cross to set us free. And he does not want us to carry those burdens. And he knew about our abortions long before we chose them. And he had a plan of redemption for us, even knowing what we did. And he doesn't want us to walk around in these burdens. When we walk around in these burdens, we're basically saying, what you did wasn't good enough for me. I'm going to hold on to my junk.
Right.
I'm
That's
gonna
right.
hold on to my junk, and I'm gonna wear it like a badge of honor almost. But yet I'm also gonna put up this shield of indifference and like pretend like I'm really not hurting, which is just this weird. It's just a weird thing that we go through. But it's almost all of us go through that same thing.
Yes. And it's like the saying goes, you play the victim for so long, you eventually become the victim.
Yeah.
So if if being saved and coming to terms with what you've done, if if you keep fighting it like I did, because I did, thinking, gosh, I'm not, there's no way I'm going to go and tell, all these women what I've done, and I didn't know what to expect. But again, it was it was beautiful, it was phenomenal, it was scary, it was catastrophic, it hurt, but at the end, it was the most beautiful thing to be able to feel that being lifted off of you. Like it was, you'd been weighed down for so many years, and all of a sudden you come to terms and you say yes. It's like being in an AA meeting. You're around all these women, and of course we're all snot nosed because we've been crying, and we've been dealing with what we needed to deal with. And in that epic moment, you feel relieved.
Yeah.
You feel beautiful.
Yeah.
Does it mean that you've completely come to terms with what you've done? No, that takes a couple of days, if not, more and more prayer. But again, you're not the same person anymore,
Yeah.
because you're held, yes, you're held accountable, but in such a loving manner that you think, gosh, why did I take so long?
Yeah. We don't tie anybody up, I promise.
Right.
We don't force feed you.
No. And by the way, the food is, I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna feed us. And then I thought, what are they gonna put in the food? And then, me and this other lady that were there, that, we would kind of look at each other, and we'd go, okay, you go first this time, because again, Satan just trying to continue to control every thought of your being, just because he doesn't want for you to heal, and he doesn't want for you to come to terms with that event. Because again, for a lot of women, I know you've heard this, they block.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to feel it. They don't want to, it's something that, no. It's a complete taboo to even bring up.
Yeah.
And so
It
again,
hurts so bad that to survive just life, especially if you're a wife or a mom already, you just have to shove it down. You have the blockers for self-preservation, which is almost counterproductive, but in the moment for years, that's what we have to do to survive. We think until we finally come to terms with, oh my goodness, I need help.
yes.
So really quick, as we're almost done with this episode, y'all, but I want you to share just how, I mean, I know obviously, but tell us about those that are watching. How did care change everything for you? I mean, because you were terrified. You literally thought we were going to tie you up when you got there and torture
I
you. So from getting the courage to go to today, tell us about that.
If you're out there, and you're listening to this, and you're wondering, is this something that I should do? Again, I don't want anybody to feel like, they have to do it. But I will say this: all that pain, all of that guilt, everything that we put ourselves through because of that abortion, when you go through the CARES retreat, you literally walk out a completely different person, because you learn what true forgiveness, sincere forgiveness, and you learn it in such a beautiful and biblical way that you really you feel guilty for not having it done sooner. And I get it. I get the being scared, the nervous, confused. We tend to be afraid of the unknown, and we judge and criticize what we don't understand. But again, if you really are looking to heal and move past that ordeal event in your life, do it. And do it knowing that, you know what, you're going to be so much better afterwards. I can't even put it into words. It's a beautiful feeling.
I love that. I love that so much. And I'm pulling up the dates here. Our next Abortion Recovery Bible Study weekend is July 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I do have openings right now. They do tend to fill up. We just finished one a couple of weeks ago. It was phenomenal. Please, if you have abortion in your past, please call us today and get registered. We do not charge for our weekend. We provide all of the materials, the curriculum, the food. We provide everything. You'll have your own private bedroom. it really is a phenomenal weekend. And please, just make the call. I know it's scary. I know it's hard. Or send an email, whatever it takes. Message us on Facebook, whatever is easiest for you to get that first step started. You will not be on this journey alone. And it really is, it changed my life. It changed my life almost 10 years ago now, but it did. It changed my life. And now I've got to watch all of these amazing stories like Abigail's. Just, it really is, it's an amazing experience. And I've never had anybody ever say, man, I wish I would have done that.
No, you're not. You're gonna actually be like me and go, dang it, Abygayl, why'd you take so long?
Okay, sister, we got like 2 minutes to wrap us up. Any last thing you want to say to anybody watching? This is your shot.
Just do what you have to do. And I get it. You're afraid, you're scared, but you know what? I promise God is going to be with you, holding you, embracing you, and just let go of the pain. There's enough is enough, and just go for it. And I promise there's not going to be anybody under the bed or trying to hit you or anything. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be something that you're going to remember until the day you take your last breath.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For those of you watching again, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next Tuesday, same time, noon, YouTube, Facebook. Please subscribe, like us, follow us, whatever all the things are. Share this video. You never know how simply sharing this video, either through a link, through an email privately, or through Messenger, however you want to do it, through a text message, you never know how just sharing the real story of someone who's been hurting and got help will change everything for someone you love. So please do that. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Sure.